He's joining us. He's here. The last time I saw him, he had a cold super bog in his hand. Crookie, good morning.
Good morning. What am I going to do in September? Probably see the wife and kids a bit more.
You're going to make that bed as well. Look, what's going on there?
Yeah, that's a bomb. That's a shambles that behind you.
Look at that.
That's a bomb site there. You can't come on the radio. We're live on telly as well with a bomb site behind you, Crookie.
I'm just taking you behind the inner curtain. I've been working all morning, speaking to agents, trying to get stories. I've not had time to go to bed.
Good answer. We'll let you away with it. What's happening, mate? What have you got for us? How about Newcastle? Start there.
Yeah, obviously been a tough summer so far, but there does seem to be a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel in terms of Malik Toure, a defender from AC Milan. They agreed a fee over the weekend. I think it's a deal worth around £35 million. He's to undergo a medical. And I think they do need cover in that area. Obviously, there's been a lot made about their attacking options. Will Alexander Isak still be a Newcastle player come the end of the window? Can they get Johan Wissa and maybe one other forward over the line? But defensively, as good as he is, Sven Botman does have a history of picking up injuries. And bearing in mind they're competing in the Champions League next season and obviously domestically as well, that they certainly needed cover at the back. What does it mean for Marc Guehi? Well, there was a lot of talk towards the back end of last week that Newcastle were back at the table for the Palace defender. As far as I'm told, that isn't the case at this moment in time, and they aren't revisiting their interest in Guehi from a year ago.
Where do you think he'll end up, Guehi? If Steve Parish has more or less come out and said, look, if he's not going to sign a new contract,
business,
we have to sell.
Of course they do.
Where do you see him? Will it be a Liverpool? Would it be a Chelsea?
Well, I think it's all well and good Steve Parish saying that, but I think he has to be realistic, because speaking to a couple of clubs who might be willing to sign Marc Guehi, at the moment they're telling me that what Palace are asking for doesn't really equate to the fact this player has only got a year left on his contract. So I think if he is to go this summer, then Palace will have to lower their asking price. Chelsea at the moment are looking in-house in terms of Levi Colwill replacements. I think Renato Vega, who was going to go out on loan, may well stay now and perhaps get the opportunity to play in the first team. In terms of Liverpool, again, watching them at Wembley yesterday, there was a moment in the first half, I think it was, when Konate had a bit of an eye issue. And I thought, well, they haven't got anyone on the bench to come and replace him, really. It would have been Wataru Endo coming on at centre-half. Gravenberch has played there as well because Joe Gomez is injured. That no Conor Bradley as well, who could have been an option. So they need someone, but I don't see them paying Palace's asking price for Marc Guehi. At the moment, Ray, I think it's probably more likely that Guehi stays and takes his chances as a free agent at the end of the season, which is not a great scenario for Palace.
No, it's not. Crookie, before I move on to things, Spurs and perhaps Everton, just a quick one. If you're a betting man, does Isak play with Newcastle this season?
I think it's tough. And do you know why I think it's tough? I think, there's a lot of Newcastle fans who've been alienated by his antics this summer. And also, having known Eddie Howe and worked fairly closely with him for a number of years, I look at his demeanour in press conferences and what he's saying, and I can tell that he's quite hurt by what Alexander Isak has done. So I think it's a long way back, and I do think Liverpool are still lurking. Interestingly, speaking of Virgil van Dijk after the game yesterday, I said to him, well, you've got a lot of attacking options.
Yeah.
And he immediately bit back and said, have we? You know, we've lost Darwin Nunez, we've lost Diaz. I get the sense that he really wants them to sign Alexander Isak.
Crookie, I know it's only when I say it's only a Community Shield game, it's still probably classified as a pre-season game. But the difference in Liverpool, when they took Ekitike off and didn't have a recognised kind of man through the middle, I thought it was pretty evident. And people forget, Crookie, I was saying to Ray, they've lost some forwards and they've lost a lot of goals in their team.
Yeah, they have. And, again, looking at their bench yesterday, I know they've got injuries, as I've already alluded to. Gravenberch wasn't available because he'd just become a dad the day before. But they didn't have loads of options coming off the bench either. But they've got 23 days, 22 days, I think, of the window left. I do expect them to try and bring in a centre-half. And I think this Isak story is not going away. I think it will run and run. The fascinating aspect of it, of course, is second game of the season, Newcastle, Liverpool. Who will Isak be playing for and what will the atmosphere be like there?
Yeah, and Crookie, in the papers today, looks like Jack Grealish could possibly be going to Everton, which would be a fantastic signing for Everton's point of view. And it's a big season for a lot of players because of the World Cup coming up. And Jack will still be in Tuchel's plans, maybe, if he can get a regular basis, play on a regular basis. It could be a big year for Jack.
Absolutely. And I think he's a player that Thomas Tuchel admires, but like all the England players hoping to be on the plane, they need to be playing regular first-team football in the Premier League. We've been speaking about Jack Grealish and Everton for a couple of weeks now. I mentioned last week that Manchester City ideally wanted his wages covered in full to allow him to go out on loan. Those are the negotiations, I understand, that are taking place between City and Everton, because obviously £300,000 a week would smash their pay structure. But I think what's quite key here is that Jack Grealish is open to the move to try and relaunch his career. Had a frustrating end to the season, and you're right, after bemoaning their lack of activity, I think Everton are kicking into gear now. I've got no problems, no issues in terms of relegation when it comes to Everton. I think they will do some good business between now and the end of the window. On the subject of Manchester City and possible departures, we can confirm on talkSPORT that Tottenham have held talks over a move for Savinho. Now, at the moment, Manchester City's stance is that he's not for sale, and certainly it would take more than the £50 million that's being quoted in some reports this morning, I think, for them to change that stance. But Tottenham need bodies in as well, don't they? Because Ange Postecoglou was telling us last season their squad was like when they were only playing in the Europa League. Yeah. Now they're in with the big boys in the Champions League.
Brilliant, Craigie. Thanks for your time. We're going to let you go because you're going to be busy with a bit of housekeeping behind you here. We're going to let you go on with that, mate.
Do a bit of hoovering as well.
Take care. Thanks, Paul. Coming up, we're turning attention back to... Well, that's a shambles, that bed. Eh? I mean, it might have made the bed.
You always got to make your bed.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.